ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Welcome to the Scale Model Outlaw. If it's your first time tuning in, we appreciate you. Hope you like what you see. If you do, maybe leave us a comment down there in the old comment section. Or how about one of those big old thumbs ups? That's right, we love those big old thumbs ups. Subscribe would be nice. Doesn't cost a dime, and we appreciate them. I know we say that every time because we mean it every time. Returning viewers, guys and gals, thank you all so very much. Well, all right, right straight to it, guys. I know I've been slacking on my videos, getting content out there for y'all, and I've had some people reach out to me and want to see a little bit more of the how I do things. Not that it's right, because trust me, there's guys out there that are way better at this than I am, but I do like to have fun with it. So I'm going to start a new series called Acme or Bust. We're going to go through what I'm doing for my Acme 2026 build and have a little bit of fun with it along the way. You'll see in the video how I get from these two right here to look like that right there. Big shout out to Tim Casper for the rendering of the Pacer, man. That thing is awesome. We're still tweaking it. We might change that up just a little bit, but right now we're enjoying that, man. He made that for me, so that's really, really cool. But yeah, going to take a Pacer, 76 Pacer, cross it with a Viper, and see what we can come up with, man. See if we can't make something cool. If it comes anywhere near that rendering, I'll be super, super happy. First of all, the first video that you'll see here is me whittling on the chassis. Actually start with one chassis and move to another. The Iceman Pro Touring chassis that I chose to do it with. Nothing wrong with the chassis. It's an amazing chassis. But for this kit, just wasn't going to work. I needed something more flat. Iceman does offer a flat low profile chassis. I just didn't have that one with me, and I happened to have that Viper, so I decided I got to looking at it. The wheelbase was the same, so you'll see how we cut it in. On this, honest to God, guys, I just recorded what I was doing, and I'll talk over it, and we'll do some fast forwarding through some of it, and I'll try to stop long enough and hit the highlight points, and see what we started with, along the way what we used for tools. But basically a lot of hacking and whacking to make this kit bash get together. So, and like I said, we're just getting started. This is the first video from the chassis and the interior, making the chassis and the interior work together. I am going to also put in the at least the rear tail lights off of the Viper into the Pacer, or possibly the rear tail lights and rear bumper. We'll see when we get into that, but I haven't got that far yet. Right now, just trying to get that chassis and get everything mocked up for it. We'll continue to work on it, and keep you guys up to date with how we're doing and what we're doing. But super excited about this one. So y'all check out the intro that I created on AI. I think it's pretty fun. Kind of got a little AI scene at the beginning, and then we'll get right into the video. So check it out. Tell me what you think. Leave me a comment down there in the old comment sections. Tell me how you think this is going to work out with this Pacer / Viper kit bash / highway to, I don't know, man. This is crazy, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Y'all be cool. Check it out, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, so here we are, jumping right into it. I've got the interior inside of the Pacer already, and I do have it temporarily glued in place so I can work with the chassis. You'll see where I've already scribed out where I'm going to cut. The drop down on that chassis was just a little bit much for the front, and needed to make some marks for that. But you can see here I'm trying to demonstrate that this awesome Iceman chassis works great. It's a variable lengths, or something short like the Pacer, or real long like maybe a Cadillac or something, or maybe even a pickup truck. Great chassis, but again, like I said in the intro, we're going to end up not using it. I left this in just to show you things happen, but you know, it's a good chassis. There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't going to work for what I wanted it to do. Basically, there's not enough room between the interior and the rocker panels, and the frame would have been exposed, and I did not want that. I could have channeled it and stuck the frame into the chassis or into the tub, but that would have been a lot more work. And like I said, we found the Viper frame, and it's a little bit more low profile. But again, had I called up Iceman, he does have a low profile Pacer chassis that would have been perfect. But I guess I was being impatient. I didn't want to wait, and I knew I'd never build the Viper because I'm not much of a Viper fan. Probably my least favorite Mopar. But either way, here we are. We're talking about, this is the sections that we got to cut out here for this frame to fit down as low as I wanted it to fit in there. So this is basically what we're going to be working on throughout the whole video. A lot of it we're going to fast forward through. It's a lot of desk space stuff and a lot of knife and sandpapers, and you know, we're basically just going to get it whittled down and you know, get it to where that frame will sit flat, which was what I was looking for. I wanted that frame as flat on that chassis, or on that interior tub, if you will, that I could get. And this is where we started at it. So we're going to jump right into it. Do a little bit of fast forwarding, so you have yourself a before and after. It should be a pretty cool get together here. Like I said, I didn't want to waste all your time. These videos, this video was almost an hour and a half long with just this first one, and we got it down to 40 minutes, which is still literally twice the time that I normally make a video. Everybody says in the YouTube world that if it's over 20 minutes, most folks lose interest. Hopefully I can keep you guys entertained and you'll watch it. But I did want to leave this part in. If you guys get one of these desk bay tools, they're so amazing. They got a lot of different bits that you can put in them. These are router type or cutting type bits that I'm using now, but it also has an arbor for sandpaper, round disc sandpaper, and it's got 3 speeds on it, and it works really well. The Dremel is great for cutting out big stuff and when you got some room, and we'll actually have some Dremel work later on in the series, especially when we start whacking up the back half and start whacking into the tub later on down the road. But for real detail and getting close work, the little Dremel is awesome, man. It gets right in there. The little desk bay is awesome. It gets right in there and gets you real close. So, well, hang on. We're about to go fast forward and get through this. Yeah, I know, right? I don't never move that fast in my life. Doesn't look like I'm moving that fast, but I'm moving. But we're just trying to get this plastic out of there, get this cut up again, so that frame will sit down flush on that interior and get it as low as I can possibly get it. The end goal, and we'll get to it later on in more detail in different videos, but the end goal is to get it to where it's 4 millimeters off the ground from the rocker panel up 4 millimeters off the ground, which is pretty dang low. But again, I had mentioned Tim Casper in the opening of the video. He did that rendering for me, which is amazing. But he also gifted me a really neat table jig type setup that we'll get into probably about the 4th or 5th video. I've already got the first 4 recorded. I just need to edit them out and get them out there to you guys. So we're going to get them out. Though I want to give a big shout out to the Icky Sticky Sanding Twigs. Ed from Ed's Hobby NRC, got those from him. Thanks, Ed. Love those sanding twigs and their sanding pads that they have. Awesome stuff. They have soft ones, they have hard ones, and they have those little twigs. Now, obviously, I'm not quite ready for that big of a twig yet. So that's more of a branch than a twig. Nope, not going to fit, right? So that's where the, going to get the metal file out. Yeah, nope, that one's not going to fit either. What the hell am I going to do now? Ta-da! The old Hobby Lobby twigs. They work great. They're teeny. They're a lot smaller. They don't hold up and last near as long as the icky sticky stuff. They clog up a little bit, but they're a little bit smaller, so we were able to get them in there and get some sanding done on this thing. But this whole process, you guys, is going to be pretty intense. You know, I mean, it's a lot of work, a lot of whittling, a lot of, you know, cut this piece out, put it up there, see how it fits. Cut this piece out, put it up there, see how it fits. And oops, cut too much out, I'm going to putty it back up. And it's just, I enjoy doing it. This is like my favorite part of, you know, chassis work, and the custom is my favorite part. There you go, got us a nice little square hole there for that thing to fit through. You'll see later on in the videos, we end up filling that with putty and then laying the frame in there, because it's like an S part of the frame, which would have been virtually impossible to cut out. But I knew if I cut a square, I could fill it with putty, let it sit for just a minute, and then set that frame down in there, and that frame would leave the indentation that I needed, and then I could sand the putty flat. And you'll see it later on, but right now we're just trying to get this thing opened up and make some room for this chassis. But again, back and forth, back and forth. There's so much of it. But it's fun, dude. I really, like I said, I really enjoy doing this part of it. I'm trying to, in the video, fast forward through a lot of stuff, but anything that's kind of technical or gets close to it, I slow it down so y'all can see what's going on. And I try to keep my big fat head out of there, but yeah, you can see where I was getting close, getting close. Yep, back to high speed again. Like I said, anytime we were sanding or grinding or whatever, you know, you don't need to see all that, but for it to, you know, just to see the process. You guys, everybody does this a different way. You can do it thousands of different ways. This is the way I know to do it. It's the way I've had the best luck. And again, I am not the greatest in the world, by far. I'm learning a lot from Tim. Casper, he's been very helpful. And, you know, all the guys that do this kit bashing and, you know, scratch building. I don't dare, I hate using that word because I don't think myself a scratch builder. You'll see here where we're using the marker to get a little pen to, you know, get it down in there tighter. I got the hole there, so it's sitting down lower, and as we get lower, the hole has to get bigger. But again, I knew that this was going to be the case. I just didn't want to get carried away and make it too big a hole. You don't want to get, I mean, it can happen where you make it too big, but it's a lot easier to fill it in with that putty down the road than, you know, when you lay that thing in there, especially if you let that putty harden up just a little bit. It's when you lay that thing in there, it'll actually push down into that putty like Play-Doh. Like, it almost makes a mold of it. But, you know, here we are again, just back and forth, back and forth. But the Despe little drill, the markers, you'll see going forward that tape, especially when you're cutting up, you know, you want a straight line. A good tape edge is super helpful to give you a line to go by. The marker is great too. A lot of times I'll lay down tape and then take a marker, because the tape will peel up if you're cutting on the side that the tape's on and you can't get it up to the opposite side. I will take a marker and then draw on the edge of where the tape meets the cut line and draw that line in with the marker, pull the tape off, and cut along that line that way. But I try to put the tape on the side that isn't being cut. But there we are. We got it down in there the way we wanted it on one side. So now we're going to go ahead and get started on the other side. I think we're, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're fixing to move over to the other side. And again, it's more of the same. And I find on the other side, if you look real close at the end, you'll see where I got the other side a little bit closer than the what would be the passenger side. The passenger side, the hole's bigger than it really needed to be. It wasn't so bad that we couldn't fix it, but it was bigger than it needed to be. By the time I got to the other side, I had learned from that side, and we got it figured out. But again, just a reminder, all this is in vain. We're not going to use it. In the end, we don't use this chassis. But I just wanted to show you that things happen, and you know, you have to shift gears sometimes. Plan A doesn't work out, shift gears to plan B. Plan C, usually by plan D or E, I am trying to Hulk smash it though. I'm not going to lie to you. Usually, I'm usually pretty good with plan A, plan B. Plan C starts to get a little sketchy, and by the time we're at plan D and E, it's usually going to get smashed, or at least put back in the box and left alone for a while. But again, this chassis is a really, really nice chassis. I wish I could have used it. In true talk, the details on it with the axles and the suspension and everything is way more detailed and way nicer than the Viper chassis. But the Viper chassis, the way it was set up, was much less work and was just going to fit what I was doing with this one much better. Again, could have ordered the flat one from Iceman, but just didn't want to take the time to do it. I've actually, if y'all have been paying attention to the channel and following along, you know this is the second pacer that I've done. The first one, I never finished it, and the original plan was to break it out and start working on it. And then I came across this other kit, and I had made some mistakes, learned from on the first one, and I thought, you know what, I could break that one out and pick up where I left off and keep going, which I used that flat chassis on the first build. But there's a Mickey Sticky Santa sticks again. Love those things. But I decided not to. I decided I wanted to go ahead and use this kit because I had learned so much from the other one. And in truth, it's really close to being done, where I can just, finish it up and not start over. Because now, like I said, with this one, I've got some different ideas. I used the 67 front and rear bumpers off of a Camaro on the first one. And this one, we're talking about putting the Viper taillights in it. And I just didn't want to undo a lot of work that there was really nothing wrong with. And secondly, and most important, if I'm telling the God's honest truth, I put that in a box a few months ago. Well, actually closer to a year ago. And now I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I had a thing come up on my Facebook the other day, and I shared it 2 years ago. I was sharing pictures of the first pacer, and I don't have any idea where it is. I couldn't tell you where it is. But I'm sure I'll find it. With the new hideout being outside, and I probably moved it out there. I do recall moving it around and opening up the box and finding out that I had, just from moving it around and bouncing around, that the chassis had actually snapped in half because I trimmed it up so tight to get that Helifit motor in there that one of the times I set the box down or it fell down or something and it had broke off. So again, lesson learned, right? So I wanted to start with a brand new one and see what I can do. So there it is. Boom. Yeah, the hole's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So, but again, it's not so big that the putty can't fix it. The worst part about putting putty, especially where that is it's right into a complex corner. There's 3 flat sides. There's the back side of the firewall, then what I would call the toe kick, which is a angled piece, and then the flat piece of the floor pan. So on the inside, there's going to be, it ends up being big gobs of putty that you got to go in there and try to cut out and clean up. It's a pain in the butt, but if you do it and do it right, it looks pretty good. And where it was located is way up underneath the dash, right there where your toe would go, behind the pedals and all that. So it actually, you can hide it pretty good, especially if you use like a flocking or a textured floor. You can hide that stuff pretty good up in there. But yeah, I think we got our metal file out now. I will use a combination of whatever I feel like is going to work best. Now that metal file has teeth on the side of on the edge of it. So if I want to cut back, like I want to make an L, a thin L for something, or just cut a really, really thin line, that file has those teeth on the side and it works very, very well for that. So. And then, of course, the old hobby knife. You can't get away from the hobby knife or the old clippers. I'm actually more dangerous with the clippers than anything. That's my favorite tool to use. but I also tend to get a little carried away sometimes. So like I said, try to learn lessons from the first one. But if you look right there on the right, you can see parts and pieces from the chassis, from the Iceman chassis. That thing is really nice, and I'll probably still steal some parts off of it. Looking at the fuel tank, looking at some of the different pieces and parts in there. Like I said, possibly the axle, but I doubt it because on the Viper, the suspension is independent. So if I did steal it, I would probably just take the center section, cut the tubes off, and maybe figure out something with the Viper tubes or something, because their axle, it's a Revell Viper kit, so it's pretty detailed, but it could definitely use some improvement. So we'll see what happens there. But again, got the pen back out. Gonna make some holes, man. Cut some plastic. My least favorite part is having to clean up the workbench after all that, man. That stuff makes a mess. Works well, but makes a mess. Alright, so taking a breath. Alright, giving you guys' ears a break. I'm talking to you, but I have no idea what I was saying. So I guess I'm counting something. I don't know what I'm counting, but I'm counting something. I tried to leave the audio in, but with the editing and the fast forwarding, it just didn't make any sense. You were talking about one thing, and the next minute we're talking about another thing. So I just went ahead and cut the audio out. And that Dremel in the or that desk bay cut into that plastic. Nobody wants to listen to that either. I probably could have just put music on and let you guys listen to music, not have to listen to my voice, but just trying to show you what I'm doing, man. I mean, it's like I said, I had a couple people hit me up and ask me to do some how-to videos. I'm not the guy to show you how to do how-to videos, because there's guys out there that have it down to a science. Some of what I'm doing here is just winging it, man. What is it they say? Fake it till you make it. And I ain't afraid to tell you some of this. I'm faking it till I make it, right? I've just learned from doing it that start small. Make all your cuts and everything small, and then open. Just bring that frame, and you'll see me bring it back 100 times, and see where it's touching, and take that little bit out, and see where it's touching again. Take that little bit out, and trust me when I tell you, if you're going to do this kind of work, you're going to have to get good with putty, because putty is your best friend. It can be your worst enemy, but it's your best friend because it will fix your screw ups for you. But the metal files are just a little Harbor Freight kit that you can buy for like $6 from Harbor Freight. They're made for metal, and even though they're cheap, they're made for metal, so that the plastic doesn't hardly affect them at all. They'll last you forever. And there's round ones, square ones, triangle shaped ones. Oh, look, my blade came out. That's a little sketchy. Now I'm going to put it in and stab myself in the finger if I'm not careful. Now, if you pay attention, I'm not holding the tip, and I got the blade, the cutting part, facing away from me, so I'm not trying to cut my finger off. I've had them. Everybody that's ever played with an X-Acto knife has cut it. What's the movie? It's all fun and games till you shoot your eye out with that thing, kid. It's the same way with X-Acto knife. It's all fun and games till you stab yourself in the finger with one. And you will come up with a whole bunch of new words and put them all together. But pretty excited about this build, man. I got some help from a bunch of guys. My personal skills have grown since I started on the last one, so I feel like this one's going to be better. This one is going to be, sorry about the coughing, this one is going to be at least part of my answer to Mr. Mark Batson's bring a model to Acme that represents your shop, because it represents your channel. I do have a plan to build a toter home, but I want to get this done first, and this one is relative because it's the first model I ever built. You still back to the little twigs again, because it's the first model I ever built on the channel, right? So it definitely relates in that way. I don't know that I'll paint it up with outlaw all over it or whatever, but if we do if we find out that we're going to have time and we do the toter home, then I'll have the outlaw on that, and maybe even put the car on a trailer or something behind it. We'll see what happens there, but I'm not committing to the toter home because I know every time I commit to build 2 models for one show, I always end up not making either one of them on time. So, and I'm horrible about deadlines. Hence why I started this early this year. Still working on my brother's modified on Sundays, and during the week it's coming along really well. Got to do some paint on it. Probably work on it. Get some painting done on it after we get done editing this video. But you can see we're coming along with the hole, making it bigger. I probably should have fast forwarded through a lot of this, but just want to, like I said, you guys be careful with them knives. But they can be your friend, but they can also be your worst enemy. Stab yourself with them. For those of you that asked for the how-tos, this is what you get. We're 27 minutes into it now. If you haven't fallen asleep or changed the channel, God bless you. But please do give it a thumbs up. You know, if you're not subscribed, give us a sub. We appreciate it. Doesn't cost a dime, and we appreciate it for sure. But again, like I said, I'm telling you in advance that all this work that I'm doing is essentially in vain, because we're not going to use that chassis. But again, you got to shift gears sometimes, man. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. All the old cliches, man, they come into play. I really love using those icky sticky Santa twigs, if you hadn't noticed, because they do such a great job. So I try to use them every chance I get, but the little ones fit in there a little better. And like I said, those are the ones from Harbor Freight. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't last as long, and they clog up real bad. Don't ever get them wet. They don't do well when they're wet. At least in my experience, they don't do well when they're wet. The icky sticky ones, I'll be honest with you, I've not gotten the twigs wet, but I have gotten the flexible pads wet, and they do fine. We'll have to see about the sanding sticks, but I think they're all made out of essentially the same material, so we'll see what happens with them. But those, whatever that material is that the little ones are made out of, it definitely, as soon as you get it wet, again, in my experience, the paper separates and it just turns into a mush. Doesn't work well. But for tight areas, they are the small ones, and they get in there and they do what you got to do. And they're cheap enough to where, you know, you go through them pretty quick. And but they're not very expensive. I think they're like $2.99 for a mix pack at the old Hobby Lobby, so can't really beat that. The icky stickies are definitely going to be more expensive, but they'll last you forever, man. They're really, really handy. Trying to get that chassis in there, man. Tight fit. I also noticed on this chassis that the engine cradle sits very low, which is good because you can keep the motor, probably on most cars, you can keep the motor beneath the hood, which is kind of a protruing thing. And see how low that cradle is? But for me, it's more than 5 millimeters below because of the thickness of everything. The frame itself was 5 millimeters below the rocker panel, and that one's like another 5 millimeters below that, meaning, you know, my car wouldn't have been in the weeds like I wanted. So that's the biggest reason that I got away from that. Again, like the old hot rods, I could have channeled the frame up into the interior, but man, that's a lot of work. And I just thought that Viper chassis is going to end up being better. But right here is when it's starting to dawn on me. You know, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But and in the back of my mind, I'm going, I should have called Iceman and got me one of those low-profile chassis. But So if you guys decide you want to do, and listen, this is going to be the same kind of idea as like if you were doing a Pinto, a Gremlin, or something small. Those chassis are amazing because they're fully adjustable. Even if you wanted to do like a full-size truck or something along those lines, the chassis is so adjustable that you can do just about anything you want to with it. And it'll work. And like I said, the detail, the 4-link suspension is awesome. The brakes are great. It comes with a transmission that fits on that cradle, so you can match your motor up to it. Talking about using the side of the file, you just saw me there using the side of the file. Super handy on that those metal files. They got triangle ones, round ones, pointed ones. I'll use the pointed one to open up a hole a little bit, like on a wheel or something. If I need to get the hole a little bit bigger, the round one's really nice because it's pointed. You can open things up that way with it and figure it out. But well, we got 9 minutes left, guys. I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing my voice, but it's coming along, man. Now you can really start to see it. Those two squares are starting to open up a little bit. And again, for those of you that didn't hear or whatever, the frame drops. Technically, it drops up. It curls up towards the hood. So when it's flat in the interior area, and then it comes up. And most cars will do that anyway for the suspension. And on this one, when I tried to use that chassis, if I didn't make a little bit of room, then it would have set just moved the frame forward. It would have set the front wheels too far forward. They would have been outside of the outside of the wheelbase, and I didn't want to cut the chassis and shorten it that way. So it just needed a little bit to sit down in there. And even at this point, it's probably a little bit exaggerated for what I needed. But now I'm trying to square it up and make it to where the S part of it will fit in there. Like I said, there's the side of that file again, cutting in there. And when I get all done, they almost look like an L. Like a fat on one side, skinny on one side, L. And that's because of the way that frame both comes up and makes an S curve, because it goes from, I don't know what the width is, but it goes from being wide to a little bit narrower to come up to meet the motor and the suspension. So it's got like a compound deal in it, and I just had to make a little room in that tub. But we're gaining on it, making things happen. But again, this is the first in the series. I've got 3 more videos in the can. The next video, we are still sticking with the same chassis. We just end up doing the back half. With this one being as long as it turned out to be, I didn't want to, didn't want to overdo it and make a 3-hour damn video. I know nobody will watch that, but just to get this one in there and make it fit right. And then like I said, the second one is going to be with the same chassis doing the rear. The third one, we've come to the conclusion that the chassis is just not going to work, and we start in on the Viper chassis. Really do some whacking and hacking on that one. We actually get the Dremel out and do some whacking and hacking, but we also did a little bit of recording on the putty thing. So even though we don't use this, and you can see it coming through the interior there, so it's starting to get real close. Even though we don't use this method, if you guys learn anything from it with the putty and all, when we get to that part on another video, maybe that'll help you learn something there. But like I said, I use acrylic 3M green putty that you can buy at the parts store, your car parts store, and put a big glob of it. I put a pretty healthy glob of it on there. Then let it sit, flatten it out a little bit with a toothpick, contour it a little bit with a toothpick, and try to take away any excess I can while it's still wet. But I like for it to be pretty heavy, and I let it sit there for about, I don't know, depends on how thick it is, but I will touch it and see if it's still wet or tacky or whatever. When it starts to harden up, like I said, there's a point before it hardens that it's a lot like Play-Doh. You can push on it and shape it, but it doesn't stick to your finger. And when you get to that point, that's when you can lay like in this case, lay the frame down on there, and it'll push down and make the contours that you want. Pull the chassis back off, and then leaves behind the impression of what it was you were doing, and then all you have to do is sand, let it completely harden, and then sand all the way around it, clean it up. It's a little tricky learning when to actually put the impression in there, but just like I said, if it doesn't stick to your finger, then it won't stick to the chassis. But as far as time goes, it just depends on how thick it is and how much you're using. But you'll figure it out. Just practice, practice, practice. And the best part about it is if you screw it up, you can wipe it right off, especially if it's still soft. Wipe it right off, start over again. Once it gets hard, it's a little different. It tends to, it's going to need sanding, then cutting. It's about as hard as the plastic at that point. So, all right, we're going to head towards the end of the video here. Got a little closing video for you, but if you can look real close, you can see those S's I was talking about. I want to thank everybody for hanging on this long, 36 minutes into it. Been fun. Y'all stick around to the very end, and we'll see you on the next one. Acme or Bust, baby. Episode 1. Episode 2 is on its way. So there you go, y'all. Episode 1 of Acme or Bust. Now, you've heard me say it throughout the video. I showed you this first video. Like I said, when I first started, I was going to use the Iceman chassis, and it's not going to work out. So we end up scrapping the whole idea. But the reason I wanted to show you what we went through with trying to make this chassis work is just really to show y'all things change, right? And you got to be able to shift gears and and roll with the flow. If it's just not working, kind of like my old man used to tell me back when I was a kid, son, if you're digging a hole and you don't need a hole, stop digging, right? I mean, don't make it any worse. Don't. These particular Pacer kits, the 76 model, they sell for $70. They're not worth $70, but that's what they sell for, because economics 101, supply and demand. So a lot of what you saw, we fast forwarded through. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what we do. A lot of knife, a lot of Dremel. Well, in this case, Disc Bay. That little fine tool, which is an awesome tool. I highly recommend it. This is actually my second one. I burned up my first one from all the use I gave it. Nothing against the tool. It was me. I used the crap out of it. So I bought another one, and I love them. I've not had a Disc Bay tool yet. Shy of their magnetic paint shaker. I didn't think it was all that great. But other than that, all the Disc Bay stuff that I've purchased has been really good. And I'm not sponsored by them, or I don't represent them in any kind of way. I've just had really good luck with their product. So, all right, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Again, this is going to be episode 1. This series is going to run until it's done. The next series will still be working on the rear chassis, or actually we'll start working on the rear of the interior tub, if you will, with the Iceman chassis. After that, that's when we scrap that idea and start moving towards the Viper chassis. So episode 2, we'll have the back half version of what we just did in the front. A little more hacking, a little more whacking. But and then from series 3 and 4, which I actually already have in the can, I just need to edit them. That'll be when we switch over to the Viper chassis. Again, hope y'all had a good time. Hope y'all like it. Please leave me a comment down there. Give me one of those big old thumbs ups. If you're not subscribed, please do. As always, check us out on Sundays on the Sunday Build Show, and keep an ear out on all your podcast forums for the Model Car Mania podcast with myself and my good friends Jason, Jody, Justin, Mr. BG, and myself. And on Sundays, it's me, Jason, Jody, Tim, and Justin. So just a little bit of a mix-up on the two. We drop a Tim and pick up a BG, or we drop a BG and pick up a Tim, depending on how you want to look at it. But I'm going to let you go because it's Saturday night. Brian's Got Fuels Live is coming on, and I want to get to it. So y'all be good, be safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you on the next one.